It looks like it's started. Here we go. We're live, bro.
All right.
We are live. It is the Raw review, January 14th. What's up, man?
Not much. Another new era of Monday Night Raw. So much new era going on tonight.
I think they scraped. They completely scrapped, I should say, scrapped the new era. I think it's over. I think it's already done with.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it ever really began.
Yeah, it definitely didn't. All they did was kind of rush these NXT talents to the main roster, and they were all going to debut anyway. But it's rushed. But let's get to this, man. If you guys are watching live, thank you so much. My name's Jay Alletto. That's Eron Ramadanov, pwpnation.com. That's where we're from. And check us out. Hit that subscribe button and press that like button as well. Smash it, DDT it, forearm it in the back of the head. Do whatever you got to do to give us some love here on YouTube. And brother, let's get right into this. Braun Strowman out, Finn Balor in. The start of the show, Vince McMahon pulls up in a limo. The good old limo arrival to the building scene that we've seen time and time again, over and over again, millions of times in wrestling. Into this whole entire Braun Strowman mess with Baron Corbin, man. Break this thing down for us, bro. What the fuck happened here?
Geez, well, I mean, it started off nice. I mean, I'm always a fan of Vince being on television when he can be productive and kind of give guys a lot of leash with him, and we saw that a lot tonight. We saw him going face to face with Braun. We saw him and Balor, him and Drew, him and Cena. So when you can put Vince in that spot where he can elevate somebody else, I think it's always great, and that's kind of what we saw here with Braun. Even though he took that title shot away from him, you walked away feeling like Braun was on a similar level than Vince, and that not only did Vince fear Braun a little bit, but also respected him in a lot of ways. So I thought it was a nice way to start Raw. I like the little Elias thing that they kind of threw in there, where he was just backstage and kind of ratted on Corbin. That's just a nice little element that you could have added, because Elias wasn't on the show otherwise. So that's a really good way of getting somebody who isn't normally on TV. But other than that, I mean, the only thing that I'll say about this Braun segment that was a little weird to me is, and for anybody who doesn't know, right? Like, my biggest thing is logic. It's got to make sense. There can't be plot holes. There kind of has to be some continuity. And the fact that Braun was out there in the ring, went after Baron Corbin, which he did not end up doing with Brock Lesnar the week before, doesn't make much sense to me. Why was that invisible shield up last week but not this week? Regardless, he goes back there, he beats the crap out of the limousine, he flips the limousine. It's like, okay, we've seen it before. Like, you kind of devalue that spot if you do it multiple times. And like, I don't know, this whole thing came across like it should have been done last week. Like, this is what Braun should have been doing last week to make you believe that he's a legitimate threat to Brock Lesnar. And not to mention also, like, you put him in positions this week where he looks really strong and Lesnar's not there. So like, what's the fan supposed to think when Braun is giving you like line by line reasons how every time he's lost to Brock? I lost to him this time, I lost to him this time, I lost to him this time, I had my Money in the Bank opportunity, I lost on that. Like, why is he reminding you of all the times he's lost for you to believe that now he's going to beat him at the Royal Rumble? Like, I just, a lot of things rub me the wrong way about this segment. Again, like we talked about before we even went on air, there were a lot of ups and downs on this show, and this was a little bit of both. So
yeah, I like how you brought up the Elias part of this whole opening segment, because that was kind of a continuation from what they did last week that we talked about, that we both liked, with Triple H being backstage talking to Sasha Banks and Bayley when Seth Rollins came and knocked the coffee out of his hand. That was a continuation. That kind of like universe feel, like something's always happening backstage. I like that. I like when you something comes up that we're not expecting. But what I got here is Vince was key in this whole situation. His reaction to Braun Strowman was great. He looked, those facial expressions that Vince does are just amazing. Right. He elevates everybody, like you said, and just being involved with Braun Strowman brings Strowman back up to a level where everybody wants to see him. I know, me included, I want to see the guy succeed, but he's being portrayed as a dork the past few months, man. It's just been very strange. They've done a lot of goofy stuff with him, and they got to rehab him. When he comes back, they literally have to rehab his character. They need him to do something cool at WrestleMania rather than silly and last year with the child Nicholas and the tag team titles. That was just silliness. He needs to do something cool. I don't know what it's going to be, but something cool needs to happen with Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. But this all led to, Finn Balor somehow, some way getting into the Universal title match at Royal Rumble. And I think they set the stage for this brilliantly. Finn Balor's the type of guy who's been gaining a lot of momentum. If you guys didn't know, this is a fact. He had the best win-loss record on Monday Night Raw last year out of any singles male competitor. I don't know about the females, but singles male competitor, best win-loss record of anyone. And that's a telling sign of the fact that they like Balor. They want him to succeed. They want to move him up the card. And last year was an indication they were kind of doing that slowly. Right. I think that this whole new era, the fans kind of just barking back at WWE, has been a sign of them saying, okay, we hear you. Now it's time to actually do something about it in one way, shape, or form. And this is how they're doing it. I think this Finn Balor push is an indication of it. So, he has to go through everything tonight. He had to fight Jinder Mahal, which we've seen 1,000 times. I was like, new era? What? Like Jinder Mahal and Finn Balor happened at least 10 times last year. And then on to this main event contest, which I thought was pretty good. It was solid. So beginning of the show, good. Hot start. End of the show, good. Hot start. What happened in between all that is where the problems lie. But solid fatal four-way to end the show, man.
Yeah, no, I think the main event really delivered. And like I said, too, I think in the chat with all the PWP guys, without this build toward Braun Strowman, being taken out of this match, then Balor kind of the show being built around Balor was really, really great tonight. And I felt like, out of all the people you could have picked out of this entire cast of characters, I think Balor was a really smart choice because I think he appeals to your mainstream audience. He also, is obviously a fan favorite, and he's been hot for quite some time now. And the fact that he's been given this platform finally to kind of, there were reports that he was going to get a push. He's getting, it seems to be a push. Facing Brock Lesnar for the Universal title is a push in my book. It's just the fact of how are they going to book him, and that segment he had with Vince was really telling because the second he started, the second Vince called him small on TV, basically, I kind of figured he was going to win because you don't necessarily do that to somebody if they're not going to end up getting what they deserve in a way. Balor getting this spot is really great. I thought the match itself was really good. I think Cena laying down for Balor was a really nice sign. And in the end, regardless of what this match is going to be at the Royal Rumble, it puts Balor in a better position than he once was in. He's not going to be wrestling Jinder Mahal every other week or in a tag match with Apollo Crews. You know what I mean? He's finally been elevated to a point where we can take him seriously against Brock Lesnar. Whether all fans treat him that way or whether all fans view him that way is going to be tested the next couple weeks. But I think it was a great move, and I'm really happy for Finn Balor. So
I do see Brock Lesnar absolutely destroying him and going to WrestleMania as Universal Champion. But I think he's going to do some stuff for Finn Balor. He's going to help him out a little bit. He's going to probably take a few bumps for him, sell for him a little bit. I don't think it's going to be way over the top, though. I don't think we'll see him do the type of selling he did for AJ and Bryan, but he might. He might. We don't know. We don't really know what's going to happen here, but I do see Lesnar retaining overall. But, you were right, man. John Cena, a class act, like always. I thought for sure Baron Corbin was in there to take the pin. I saw a scenario in my head where Cena and Drew McIntyre would, fight up the ramp and Baron Corbin would take the pin. But I was pleasantly surprised with John Cena doing the JOB right here. This was good. Good for the future of Raw and good for the future of WWE for sure. But another thing good for the future of WWE, Sasha Banks, Ronda Rousey. This was kind of weird in a way. I mean, I saw your tweet, bro. I saw your tweet about this, and you summed it up perfectly. I was more concerned about what Sasha Banks was doing because we know how big of a Sasha Banks mark I am. I'm a gigantic Sasha Banks fan. I love Sasha Banks. I think she's she to me is well above where she's been on the card and on the depth chart for WWE in the women's division. She's above that to me, man. But it looks like she's finally getting her opportunity, getting her due. She's probably going to have one of Ronda Rousey's best matches to date. But overall, Ronda Rousey was acting weird here. We don't want to see this very nice Ronda Rousey that is smiley and slapping hands. We want to see the baddest woman on the planet, bro, right? I don't want to see this weird, sympathetic Ronda Rousey.
Well, it's that too, and it's also like it's just like, if you want to present her that way, fine, but don't keep telling me she's the best woman on the planet when she's
Right.
chasing after somebody to make sure they didn't offend her. And it's just it was a weird segment. And it's even worse the fact that like Ronda didn't even say anything. Like just like Sasha took, like, obviously it's storyline, of course, but they could have come up with something a little bit better than how would she just misworded something and then Sasha took it as like she just fucking killed her mother in front of her. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was just weird. And like you said, just the fact that Ronda's chasing after her to not beat her up, but to apologize wasn't a good look for her.
Yeah, this kind of segued into Bailey and Natty like arguing in the back about it, which was strange in and of itself because we've seen them be friends for so long and in these 6-woman tag matches. And speaking of that, that's exactly what we got next. And this was kind of a surprise to me because I just saw Ember Moon again, like being the third in this match. Because I even tweeted like it's going to be Sasha. It's going to be Bailey, Natty, and whoever against the Riot Squad. And
right.
But we got Nikki Cross here, and Nikki Cross makes her I guess second main roster debut because she already kind of debuted on SmackDown when they were in the UK. So this is kind of her second debut, and now she's back, and we saw the debut of not only Nikki, but we saw the debut of EC3 in a very inconspicuous like backstage picture-in-picture segment, like in the top of the screen where he didn't even say anything. He was just kind of standing there. Didn't show up later in the show, did absolutely nothing. If that shows you where he's going to be in the card, and I think we talked about this, that's an indication. I think he's going to be kind of in that lower level, mid to lower level. And of course, we saw Heavy Machinery later on. But man, if there's anything that bothers me more than repetitiveness on Monday Night Raw, I can't figure it out because another 6-women's tag match with Bailey and Natty against the Riot Squad. I'm tired of this shit, bro. I don't know about you, but enough is enough. We need to mix it up. Something's got to change here.
Yeah, no kidding. And you talked about the NXT influence tonight. It seems to be a common theme throughout with all the NXT debuts or debuts. As far as every single one of them came off flat. And if you were, let's say you were Joe the plumber sitting on your couch today and you saw another weird white guy in the top right hand of your corner of your screen, and the announcers aren't even saying anything. They're just like, the guy, he's just standing there next to the mic, and we're all supposed to just know who he is. And in fairness to EC3, great guy, good worker, all that. Nobody knows who he is. So like, I just don't understand it. And then you had Nikki Cross come out. And the common theme I saw tonight, Jay, is that it's clear that WWE has no plans for any of them. None of them.
Zero.
Not one.
Zero.
Out of all, what is it, 6 of them? 6 total superstars? They don't have one plan for any of them. Not one.
Well, here's what happened, dude. Here's what happened. All these superstars were going to debut, but because the fans put such a like, this show sucks, you need to change something, the fans kind of rushed them to do this, so they're just throwing them out there. I'm sure the debuts would have come around the Royal Rumble, maybe shortly after, maybe some of them even around WrestleMania time, but they kind of rushed this. We even saw Lacey Evans. I forgot to even mention her. We saw her in a backstage skit as well when Finn Balor was kind of walking backstage. She was just kind of standing off to the side having a conversation with, I think it was Dana Brooke and maybe
Dana Brooke.
Fox.
What great company that is.
Yeah. Yeah, that just shows you where she's going to be. She's gimmick ready. Yeah. Lacey Evans gimmick ready, but she's not really wrestling ready for this main roster debut whenever in the ring happens. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. I even said it on Twitter at PWP Nation. If you guys are watching PWP Nation on Twitter, I even said it, like, they have zero idea what they're doing. And they've had weeks to build this up, weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of vignettes. And they have no direction, completely directionless. This is sad. And to top this off, they're going to be on both shows until after the Royal Rumble. Like, what is, I don't even understand the logic here. It doesn't make any sense at all. None.
Dude, and the other thing, right, is from WWE standpoint, right? Let's say you're Vince, you're Hunter, you're all these guys, and you call all these 6 people up and you go, man, we don't have anything for them. All right, now what do? You send him back down. You send him back down to developmental. You don't debut him on Raw and SmackDown and just throw him to the wolves. That's the whole point. Everything they do with these 6 NXT guys is everything we bitch and moan about already. So like, I just don't get the logic here. And it's almost like we force them, but like they forget that they have the choice. They make the choices. Like nobody's actually forcing them to debut these people. They decided that these people are going to debut, started hyping up their debuts, and now they have nothing for them. So, and I remember a quote. I don't know if you remember this quote. I believe my guy Triple H once said, "We never call anybody up without a plan." Well, clearly there are no plans for any of these people. So,
well, Triple H doesn't control. This is Vince. This is this guy over my shoulder, the devil over my shoulder right here. That's him making these calls, man. He's like, I need some talent. And here's something else that just occurred to me while I scroll through the results here, because I can't remember what the hell happened. I got to scroll through these things. It looks like only one singles match tonight. Only one singles match. We started with 2 tag team matches. The Revival versus Lucha House Party was the second one, where this is just basic storytelling when the Revival got screwed last week, and this week they screwed Lucha House Party, so now they're the cheaters. It's kind of like, it's basic storytelling 101 from the 1990s. This is nothing new, nothing groundbreaking at all. Promo segment, this is stereotypical Raw, 6-woman tag match. But here's something I wanted to talk about, and this was something, one of a surprise to me. Really was, because I feel like the Intercontinental Championship is the title on Raw right now. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose have been holding it for the past few months, but now Bobby Lashley, the new Intercontinental Champion, and just the fact that Seth and Dean don't need the title, especially going into the Royal Rumble. Now this makes both of them perennial contenders for the Royal Rumble win, even though, I think Seth Rollins might be the front runner right now. I don't really think Dean has much of a chance at it, but who the hell knows at this point? Highly unlikely, but who the hell knows? But Bobby Lashley becomes Intercontinental Champion with help from Lio Rush. This match was pretty good, man. What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, not bad. I think, like you said, I think Lashley needs his title a little bit more. He needs, since debuting, obviously he's been, I don't want to say poorly treated or poorly handled, but it just hasn't really panned out well. He hasn't really been taken or received well from when he was a babyface, and his heel has been much better with Lio Rush, and they have a gimmick, and those two work well off each other, which is perfectly fine. But like you said, Lashley going over here, I have no problem with. The match itself was fine. They protected Seth, which is perfectly okay with me. And Dean is in a really weird spot right now where his Mania match doesn't look too – I don't see him having one. I can't really picture it right now. And ever since he's come back, he's really – I think I said it last week, there's just really no redeeming quality he has that separates him from anybody else. And, I even tweeted that I think he doesn't understand the idea of like a flamboyant jacket, because the jacket's supposed to kind of accentuate your charisma. And when the jacket has more charisma than you're kind of in a bad spot. So, I don't know. It just everything about Dean Ambrose is really just off right now. But yeah, good win for Bobby Lashley. Seth stays strong. I agree with you. I think Seth is probably the favorite to win the Rumble. So I'm all for that. As long as that's the plan, I will be happy.
Yeah, I kind of feel like Seth and Dean need one final singles match to kind of put a bow on this feud and let them both kind of move on in their own directions, because they're going to be tied together for the rest of their careers. And we've seen enough of this. And one thing that occurred to me, and this is nitpicking, but this is what we do. I was listening to Seth Rollins' promo, and he said that they've been friends for 6 years. Like, did we forget about that entire 2014 heel turn that Seth Rollins had on the Shield, and the fights that they had with Ambrose as a babyface? Did we forget all that shit? Because in my mind, they haven't been friends for 6 years. So that's just something that I'm nitpicking. But hey, props to Lio Rush tonight for his involvement. I think Lio Rush is really good, underrated overall. I think I know he's really, really tiny, and what he does in 205 Live is fantastic. He's a great addition to that roster. But as a manager, I'm starting to like him more and more. His elusiveness, running away, this kind of cat and mouse game he plays with the superstars, I like it. I don't know about you, but I'm digging it. I think he was a huge addition to Bobby Lashley. If Bobby Lashley didn't have Lio Rush for this heel turn, he'd be dead in the fucking water, man. And here's
Agreed.
something that occurred to me too. Bobby Lashley, Intercontinental Champion. EC3 and Bobby Lashley have great chemistry. I don't know if you remember their matches in Impact. I used to watch Impact at that time when they were kind of feuding, and they had some good matches. They had some really good matches, and I think that might be something that could save EC3 if anything. Put them in there with Lashley. They have chemistry already. Make that happen. I'm down with that, bro.
Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with that. Like you said, I'm a very big proponent of Lio Rush and what he's added to Bobby Lashley's character.
Yeah, I'm looking through this show, and sorry guys if I'm looking down. I'm just scrolling through my phone, but there's really not too much more to talk about. I think we should touch on a moment of bliss and the debut of the women's tag team championships. And how about the little segment before that where this backstage employee, intern, whatever the hell he is, stagehand, production, who knows, brings like a latte to Alexa Bliss's dressing room, knocks, and then kind of just lets himself in. Like, what kind of idiot moron just lets himself into Alexa Bliss's dressing room? She is half naked. This was one of the most risky. This is like what they did on SmackDown with Mandy Rose with the towel, and she dropped it and she had her gear on underneath, saying like she was in Jimmy Uso's hotel room or some bullshit. Just weirdness here. But the look on Corey Graves and Michael Cole's face was completely priceless. And I got it on my phone. If you don't mind, Aaron, I'm just gonna bring it up and kind of point it at the screen. I don't know how good it's gonna look, but I gotta show this to everybody just in case anybody missed this. We're gonna take a look. Let's see if it kind of looks pretty good. It's kind of glary, but if you can see the look. You can't really see it. You can't really see it there. But I urge everybody to go to our Twitter at PWP Nation and check out that video. It's getting a lot of buzz right now because it was hilarious. It was like Corey Graves and Michael Cole were like, what the fuck is happening right now? What are we doing? And I brought this up, this is a direct response, in my opinion, a direct response to what Impact did on last week on their show on the Pursuit channel, which nobody fucking has. Do you have the Pursuit channel? Do you have that channel?
Dude, no.
It's a hunting and fishing network. It's like the channel Shawn Michaels is on when he's killing deer and shit. This is what Impact is on now. The hunting and fishing network. And they did a segment which is very like kind of like a lowbrow attitude era-ish. But I loved it because I love that kind of shit every once in a while, where Scarlett Bordeaux was like teasing a striptease, and the Desi Hit Squad comes out, who was like an Indian tag team with this old man, and he's like telling her, oh no, you should not do this and stuff. And Scott Steiner comes out and beats the trash out of them, and then she gives Scott Steiner like a little striptease in the middle of the ring. And she's hot. I mean, she took off her things. She had some bra and panties on. And dude, on YouTube, in just like 3 or 4 days, this thing got over 500,000 views. 500,000 views. Yeah, that shows you that sex still sells, and it always will. And I think this, little bit we saw from Alexa Bliss tonight, she was wearing these tight shorts out there for a moment of bliss. She looked really, really hot tonight. I don't know, man. I think WWE, that was kind of a response, because this segment, if they show it on YouTube, whatever, it's going to get a lot of hits too, just with her covering up. Dudes love that shit.
You might be right, honestly. Like, I didn't think of that. Considering WWE's reach is so much bigger, that you're probably right. I'm interested to see what kind of views they're going to get by the end of the week, or even by tomorrow. Yeah, just a weird segment. I thought maybe it would have something to do with what happened later, but it didn't. So it was fine.
Yeah, the whole segment with Paul Heyman, the little interview with Paul Heyman, really served no purpose. It was typical Paul Heyman. They brought Paul Heyman to Raw, and they did not plan. They booked this today. I'm convinced they booked this today. They had no idea what to do with Paul Heyman. They didn't know what to do with him, so they brought him to Raw. They did this. Heavy Machinery, for some reason, debuted in the most cattywampus weird way. There was practically no response to Otis coming out on stage, even though I think he's hilarious. I actually like Otis. But he's coming off very like I don't know, what's the word I could use? Like a dumbass. I think that's kind of his gimmick. Yeah. He's just a dumbass. Fair. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he kind of just comes out there and he's like, pretty girl, which is just like, what are you doing, man? These guys are going to be a sideshow. I don't think they're going to be taken seriously at all in tag team division. They're like Jesse and Festus, except they like to lift weights and eat steaks. That's basically it.
That's a really good comparison. Mm-hmm. I think I'm somebody, again, who, first impressions on especially when you're debuting teams like this, where they're already going to be fighting an uphill battle, and you just really didn't do them any favors tonight. I get that his character is kind of supposed to be kind of tongue in cheek. He's a little weird, and yeah, I get that, but it didn't make any sense. I don't think the people in the arena found it funny. I don't remember hearing many laughs. It was just kind of awkward silence. And again, Joe the plumber at home, like, what does he think of that? He walks away thinking, what the fuck am I watching? And why am I not watching something else? So it just really didn't come off well. And I'm hoping that they can recover from tonight.
Yeah, it was terrible. But hey, at the end of the day, we have the women's tag team championships debuting, and I think I missed this, dude. Are they going to be crowned at Elimination Chamber? Was that the announcement? Elimination Chamber?
I believe so. Yeah, they. I think she said that 3 Raw tag teams, 3 SmackDown tag teams, 6 teams total, and the Elimination Chamber winner is the champs.
I like that. I think I like that because there's no way you could have 2 sets of women's tag team championships. And I don't think there should be 2 women's champions in any way. I think eventually, dude, the way things are moving and panning out, how repetitive Raw is becoming, we're going to see these brands slowly kind of mold back together into one in the future, especially with this Fox deal coming up. They're going to want all the star power for SmackDown Live. So I think eventually that's where they're going to head.
Yeah, I agree. And they've done it before. I mean, that's what happened with the last brand split. So, it's funny. This company keeps to continuously make the same mistake over and over again. But yeah, I agree. These tag team titles are great because, you have a title for both brands, which I think, again, should have been the kind of concept of the world title and the tag titles. Every title, should those titles that you can put on both brands should have been just one title, one world champion, one women's champion, one tag team champions, and then you have the Intercontinental and the United States championships on each brand, and then that way you have a multitude of titles. And when the world title is not on SmackDown, you focus on the IC title, and that's what helps build prestige for that title. And it's really easy, simple stuff. I don't know why they don't get it. But yeah, this is a good move. I mean, 1 sets of women's tag titles are fine for right now. They don't have the depth to do 2. So 1 is perfectly fine. And if they ever have the depth, they can move to 2. But I would just stick with 1 personally.
Who do you think's going to win? Who do you think's going to be the first women's tag team champions?
Man, gun to my head right now. I mean, I think the Hug and Boss Connection are probably going to grab those titles, or the Iconics.
I'm going to say they're possible, but they haven't had any push, dude. They are just relatively like jobbers. They haven't even been on SmackDown in a few weeks. But I got to say, for some reason, I got this inclination it's going to be Nia Jax and Tamina. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that they're going to give these to the heels. But that's just a gut feeling. All right, so I'm looking through the Raw results, man. We touched on just about everything. Not much more to talk about. But I just want to get your opinion on this, man. And I'm going to give credit where credit's due. There's this guy, JD from NY, who's huge on YouTube. He's got a great YouTube following. And he's love him or hate him. He puts out a lot of content. And I saw he made a tweet here. And it's basically like, if you don't think this Finn Balor push is has direct correlation with All Elite Wrestling, you have to be crazy. He thinks that the reason they're pushing Finn Balor is because of All Elite Wrestling. And they want to try to make some of these superstars happy to not jump ship to this eventual competition. I don't know how to think about this, man. I'm not sure if this is true because Finn Balor's already been kind of ascending slowly. They probably should have pushed him a long time ago when he came back from injury. They should have taken him seriously then, and they wouldn't be in the situation they're in now with like no fresh stars. They put all their chips in on Roman and all this shit. But at the end of the day, do you think this is a reflection on All Elite Wrestling at all?
To be honest with you, I don't. I think this is more of a reflection around the fact that Braun wasn't cleared and they had to come up with someone, and Finn was consistently being cheered each week. And despite his booking, he's been pretty popular regardless. He still gets one of the loudest crowd reactions on the show, and people buy his merch, and he's just a popular guy still regardless. So I don't necessarily think it's a result of All Elite. I mean, I think that going forward, All Elite will have an impact on how WWE kind of books talent from that standpoint of trying to keep them happy, and also realizing that these guys, if they get unhappy, will just easily go to All Elite once their contract is up. And it's going to be interesting to see how WWE handles that, because they do it now. We saw it with Neville. They kept that guy under contract just so he didn't go anywhere else. And I wouldn't be surprised if they start picking guys up and they just never get used, and they're there with WWE for 2-3 years and they never just really get off the ground. They'll be used in like backstage segments and jobbers, and then they'll be done. So I think the Balor thing is interesting. I don't think it's a correlation with All Elite. I think they were going to do this regardless. And again, I think the Braun thing definitely helps. So
I think it's an interesting question to pose, because this could be said to for a lot of wrestlers on this roster, like AJ Styles. Like, what are they going to do to make him happy? Even though I see AJ Styles being a WWE guy for life, probably Finn Balor too, because he was also a trainer previously, came through NXT. He could possibly be with the company for many years to come. But you look at the Revival; they're all of a sudden getting all this airtime, and they've had this whole thing with the Young Bucks back and forth on social media for a lot of years. So I think it's interesting how this is going to play out. Especially, I mean, I'm not thinking right now as much as I am after WrestleMania, heading into this Double or Nothing show. We'll see how this pans out over Memorial Day weekend, because I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of different talent on the show that we're not even expecting. So I'm excited for it. But let's put a bow on this Raw review, brother. Right now I'm looking at Twitter. We got 171 votes on our poll on PWP Nation Twitter account, and looks like a B grade is winning. 54% say B, 33% say A, 10% say C, and D or worse only 3%. So what do you think, bro? What would you grade this episode of Raw?
I'm gonna get. Last week I gave it a C. I'm gonna go with a strong C plus here. I think it was better than last week. I think without the Finn Balor storyline, this show would have been really on the rails. I think we would have gotten a lot of lazy booking, and without that Finn Balor, or the Braun Strowman news of him not being able to compete, I think that the show definitely benefited from that. And the women's tag titles being announced was cool, and we got some interesting stuff that happened tonight, but it was muttered with a lot of bad stuff too. So it was. I was saying to somebody earlier, all the good stuff they did was great tonight, but it's hard to overshadow all that bad stuff. And I don't know if the good stuff tonight overshadowed the bad stuff. But yeah, solid C plus for me. A good show, but nothing really to write home about.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C. I like your assessment of the show. I'm going to give it a C. I thought it was average at best. I would have liked to see a follow-up to Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks on the show. Like maybe have them do a backstage segment to continue talking, or you don't have to do the physicality thing, but they went backstage. You saw Ronda kind of chase after Sasha Banks, but there was no follow-up. Like what happened? You know what I mean? Like, did Sasha just continue to walk away or run away, or what the fuck happened? Like, I would have liked to see one of those segments like we saw in the first segment where Elias is playing guitar. Maybe fucking have Elias backstage playing guitar again. Have Sasha Banks, walk by him, and Ronda Rousey, like, try to catch up to her, be like, Sasha, wait. And, like, she stops and looks over, and Elias is sitting right there, and he just kind of narrates what just happened. They should have done that all night. I think that would have been super fucking entertaining if they had Elias set up to chime in on everything that happened throughout the show, maybe like 4 or 5 times or something, since he had nothing else to do. I would have liked that. There could have been a variety of ways they could have used him. So I'll give it it's a mediocre grade for me. I was a D last week because I thought Raw was fucking awful last week. But this week it was a little bit better. So I'm going to give it a C here. So yeah, that's about it for Monday Night Raw, dude. Lots of other interesting news going on in the wrestling business. How about Lars Sullivan, man? Again, we've mentioned that we saw all these promoted NXT talents, but we still don't have anything on Lars Sullivan. What the hell's going on with him, man?
Yeah, man. This is one of the weirdest stories of wrestling in general. He had, I guess, a panic attack or anxiety attack backstage, and just a weird situation. Never really heard of that before. You would think being a wrestler like he is, and someone who's pretty decently well traveled. I mean, not incredibly well traveled, but he's been around. He's been on tour. He's he's been in front of large crowds, so I don't know what the anxiety was for. I mean, granted, main roster is obviously a different animal, but yeah, just a weird story. And the fact that I saw I think it was that fucking idiot. What's his name? The PW Stream guy.
Okay.
He posted like a rumor that like Vince is furious at Triple H for this. It's like, what are you fucking talking about, dude? Like, just yeah, I don't buy that report if that even is a report. But yeah, I mean, the Sullivan thing's weird, and I hope he can get on his feet and kind of move forward, and hopefully this is a thing of the past.
Remember when he like kind of worked with us, the PW Stream kid, and he was just like the biggest annoyance and pain in the ass. We used to fuck with him because he had no legs. We used to joke around. Yeah. I can't even remember fucking his name, but
fucking Mark.
Yeah, exactly. It's fake news, by the way, guys. If you watch at PW Stream Twitter account, it's always fake news and bullshit. But I had a couple nicknames for Lars Sullivan for his impending WWE debut. And it's funny to me because he wrestled on these takeovers, like you said, these big shows, North American title ladder match, all these big spots. How is he nervous? To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I guess the audience is bigger or whatever. But here, how about this one? The prognosticator of panic. That's a gimmick for Lars Sullivan. How about this one? The alpha of anxiety. There we go. There we go. I could come up with a bunch from him right now, but I'll leave it there. I think for some reason, if he does make his debut, they're gonna have him like freak out and panic and shit. I really do. I think they're gonna rip him up. I don't
right about that too.
Bro, I don't see him coming in as this monster and fighting Cena and stuff anymore. They might still go that way, but if they do go that way, he's gonna get killed. That's what I think, bro. He's not gonna get it right. This isn't something
right about that.
Vince McMahon is probably like, what the fuck is this? This guy is not ready. And Vince McMahon's probably like, this is a joke. But yeah, the prognosticator of panic, Lars Sullivan.
I like that other one a little bit better.
The alpha of anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that too. Mr. Anxiety, or whatever you want to call him. There's plenty of names I can come up with, but man, NXT UK takeover. Let's touch on that real quick, bro. Loved the show. I fucking loved it. Two problems I had with it. Problem number one, that fucking elbow shot to the back of Trent Seven's head in the opening contest was brutal, bleeding from the back of the head. That should never happen. That's freaking stupid. Learn how to throw a working forearm, dude. Get Haskins, whatever. Learn how to throw a working forearm. That was completely unnecessary, uncalled for. Second thing I didn't like was in the main event, they overbooked it. It was a very good match. Pete Dunne and Joe Coffey, hard hitting, but it was overbooked, man. These guys are going to the top rope, trying some craziness, and they fall off the top rope twice to the floor. Like that could have ended very badly. And then you have Walter making his big debut at the end of the show, which I thought was dope. I think that guy is awesome. I've watched a lot of his highlights on YouTube and some of his matches. I suggest checking out his highlights against Ricochet at PWG. I think it was Battle of Los Angeles, maybe one of those big PWG shows. He fought Ricochet, and they had an awesome match. And also a match he had with Zack Sabre Jr. from PWG I saw too. And I thought that was really cool. But what were your thoughts on NXT TakeOver UK, bro?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I didn't get a chance to see the whole show. I agree with you, Walter. He seems like he's going to be a player, and I don't know if I would necessarily limit him to that UK brand. I know he's been pretty vocal about not wanting to move to the United States, so I think that's why he's going to be staying in the UK brand. But that guy is the real deal, and I could easily see a path for him eventually coming to the States. But for now, I guess he'll stay in the UK. But the other thing for me is, these UK shows, I just can't. And I'm with Toph on this. I can't sit through the crowds. There's something about those crowds. I just can't do it. It makes me want to just rip my ears off. And I just the singing. I don't get the constant singing. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it's just not good. Not good.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, dude. I even forgot to mention that. I hate that too. I can't stand that. I had to mute the TV a couple times because not only are they singing, I can't understand what the fuck they're saying. I can't understand them at all. Right. I don't know what they're doing. They just they made up a song for Tyler Bate where they kind of just sing his name. It's like, I don't get it. Yeah, it's horrible. I think Nigel McGuinness's commentary is amazing. Speaking of Nigel McGuinness, watch that documentary if you haven't, dude. Did you watch that?
I did not
Chasing the
know.
Magic. Yeah, watch that, dude. It was very good. Nigel McGuinness, everybody put him over huge in that show. I would love to see him make some kind of comeback, man. It might be too late, but to have like a little comeback on this NXT UK brand, maybe in the future, do a story where he comes back to the ring, that would really get fans pumped up. That's something that I think a lot of fans would get behind. It would be almost like a Rocky story. Yeah, dude, his run as ROH World Champion was fucking phenomenal. But all right, man. That's pretty much it. Any final words for this January 14th, 2019 episode of PWP Nation Raw Review?
Well, the new era continues, and you know, it's as new as it's gonna get, I guess. So
yeah, I'm done with new era, dude. I think it's a joke. They haven't even mentioned it the past few weeks. They realized that they don't have anything planned for any kind of new production or new matches or new stories or anything. It's all the same old shit. It's a continuation of what we saw last year. That's all it is. The same stories continue.
The only thing I could hope for is that the shows will at least get better going into the Rumble. That's one thing you can kind of bank on, but even then, it's there's nothing I guarantee with this company anymore. So.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, dude. All right, man. Let's wrap this up. If you haven't, please hit that like button, guys. It helps us out a lot. We're just starting this. We're in this for the long haul. So it's patience is key. And we're going to build an audience. And hopefully you guys will be here till the very end with us. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And check out pwpnation.com and all our social media platforms that we have, including Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Check me out at Alletto. That's ALLETTO on Twitter. And Aaron at Aaron_PWP. And that's about it, Aaron. Like I'm saying, this is great, bro. I'm having fun doing this. How about you?
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, it's a work in progress, and we'll slowly get better. And also, if you don't catch the show right away, or you don't catch all of it right away, we should have the audio version up every Tuesday morning or afternoon. It's safe to say definitely by Wednesday morning you'll have the audio version.
Yeah, subscribe on iTunes, PWP Nation Network. We've got a lot of cool shit, low-key cool shit on that channel. The Offended podcast is going pretty strong, man. They've been very consistent. And, you know, we got some good stuff. We got good stuff. We've got some exciting things happening in the future here at PWP Nation. So once again, I'm Jay. That's Aaron. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys later. Peace.